You can't just keep paying rent for the rest of your life. I mean, you could, but do you really want to be 60, 70, 80 with your fixed income, social security, or pension, or 401k? Do you really want to have to worry about having to pay rent at that time? Hello, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Wellington. I'm a local real estate agent here in Las Vegas. If you're just starting out your real estate journey, whether you want to become a real estate investor or you're a first-time home buyer, then this video is for you. If you're somebody that you're an aspiring real estate investor or real estate developer, or maybe you're a first-time home buyer, then you're going to want to stick around for this video. It may seem like kind of a obvious question, but why buy a house? Why not just keep renting? And the answer lies in the numbers. When it comes down to it, what are the biggest expenses that people typically have? You have your car payment. You have, if you have any debt, credit card debt, or social security, or student loan debt, or car payment debt. Food is a very big one. I know for me, because I like to eat very healthy, quality foods, I do tend to spend more money on quality food than most people do. You probably spend money on your car payment if you have a car payment. If not, great, you're already ahead of the game. You just grab my coffee here. What else? At the top of that list, bar none, is housing. Housing is the number one cost that most people tend to have. And the problem with paying rent is that, you know, every year you're renewing your lease every year, and at the end of the year you're like, fuck, you know the rent's gonna go up. The question is by how much? And every year it seems like the rent just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. And let me ask you this, do you feel like your salary or your wages or the money that you're earning is going up to keep pace with that? If you're like most people, the answer is probably no. And what that means is you're spending more and more money on rent every year, but your income is not keeping up with that. Well, that means you're going to have less money available for other things in your life. Things like traveling or shopping or buying, nice things. When you buy a house and you get a mortgage, and specifically here, I'm only talking about a fixed rate mortgage, you have a consistent house payment for the duration of your loan. So let's say, in my case, I had a 30-year mortgage. I took out at 3.3%. It was a good time when I bought. And give or take, my monthly payment is $2,000 a month. And that, I bought my house back in 2021. Every year, my house payment has been exactly the same. What that does is, when you're budgeting your monthly expenses, which I highly recommend you do, you know that your housing payment, your number one payment, is there. It's consistent. It's not going to go up. And that kind of insulates you a lot from the local economic changes, things like tariffs, things like, fires and, things like that. I'll give you an example, okay? I was just having a conversation with some family and friends who live back in Southern California, and which is where I originally moved from. Now in Southern California, typically, like, if you want a 1-bedroom apartment, you're gonna be paying like $2,400, $2,600, even $2,800 a month, $2,600 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. That, to me, that's just nuts. If you want a 2-bedroom, let's say you have a family, you have kids in Southern California, you're gonna expect to pay $3,000 or more. And I'm not even talking about nice parts of town that are right by the beach or close to the beach. I'm talking about your rinky-dink 2-bedroom apartment in fucking, whatever fucking place in Southern California. It's fucking Compton, whatever. Everybody likes to rag on Compton. I don't know why. Whatever. It's just And I asked them, I said, hey, how can you guys, what's the situation? How do you guys afford to live here? I mean, if you have to pay that much, how much do you have left over for other things in your life? Like food, like rent, like, you know, and even more than just the necessities. Like, what about if you want to go out and have fun? You know, like, you know, go see a movie, go to the restaurant. And I can't fathom how people can live like that. Now, and the thing that's interesting about Southern California is that there's a lot of homeowners in California are people that bought a home many years ago before the prices skyrocketed, and they're kind of sitting on it, right? There's no real new construction that's happening. Let's face it, they're not really building over there. And what that does is there's so many people, there's so much demand for housing, the supply isn't there, and that's what's really driving all the prices up. So unless you're a homeowner, if you're a homeowner there, you got it really good. If you're not, then you're gonna be having to pay those market rates, which right now it's absolutely insane. And the reason I bring up Southern California is because I see that happening more and more here in Las Vegas. And it's not just because a lot of Southern Californians or Californians in general are moving here, which they are. A recent, I don't know, whatever study or statistic came out that the top 3 or 4 places that people move when they're going away from California is, of course, Texas, Arizona, Florida, and Nevada, specifically here. Southern Nevada to Las Vegas. And that's what I did, that's what we did. And the reason is it's just a 4-hour drive, right? So, and you're gonna see, and I'm only saying this, I'm not saying this because I have hard proof or hard data. I'm just saying it because I'm a realtor and I keep an eye on the market. I have a pulse on things and where the market is going. And my gut tells me that it's going to become a lot like Southern California here in Las Vegas in the next 5 or 10 years. And, you know, if you haven't bought a home yet, then if it was me, I would really be putting some urgency behind it, because I don't want you guys to have to worry about paying rent with, you know, the cost of living just going up and up and up, with no signs of relief. If you find this video helpful, please click the like button, subscribe. I very much appreciate it. I'm trying to build a solid presence here. I'm putting out 1 video a week. I might be bumping it up to 2 videos a week. If I can get to 100 subscribers, then I'll bump it up to 2. So thank you guys for your support. I look forward to making more videos. Now, let's talk about buying homes. So you're convinced. You are all set. You're ready to say, okay, I want to buy my house. Let's do it. Wellington, let's fucking do it. All right, so here's what I'll tell you. Buying a home is a life-changing thing. And it's a positive life-changing. You know, when I bought my first house, it kind of really changed my financial situation completely. There's a series of things you have to do to prepare yourself to buy a house. Number 1, I strongly encourage you to pay off all your debt. That's my number 1 recommendation. If you have a car payment, pay that car off, okay? If you have a student loan payment, if your student loan payment is under, let's say, 30 grand, 40 grand, I would really focus on paying that off before you start buying your house. Why? Because you want to make room in your budget to have a house, so that it's a blessing for you and not a curse. And I would rather you wait and buy when it's right than to rush. Even though, yes, I'm saying buy right now, buy as soon as you can, but that's the key, is as soon as you can, as soon as you are, you know, the term ready, willing, and able. So in real estate, it's able, ready, and willing, in that order. So we got to make sure you're able to do it, you're willing to do it, you want to do it, and then you're ready, and then go. Something like, you get what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's talk about the math. Now, at this point, you've paid off all your debt. I very much encourage the Dave Ramsey approach of just going all in, paying it off. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a lot of confidence. You know, before I bought my house, I had thousands of dollars in credit card debt, like over $10,000 that I was using my card to pay for rent at a time. It was a bad time. I was in my 20s, and you know, I wanted to buy a house, but I had this debt that was, at the time, it was in collections. And I said, you know what, let me settle this, let me pay this off, let me take care of this. And that's what I did. I spent a couple of months saving the money. I talked to them. I said, hey, look, I'll make you a deal. Let me pay this off. And I'm glad that I did that, because what happens when you apply for a loan to buy a house is you're going to go through an underwriting process. And in that underwriting process, even before the underwriting process, they're going to run a credit report check on you. They're going to check everything, and they're going to see it. And if they see something like that, they're not going to want to loan the money to you. So you're going to have a hard time getting pre-approved. So that's my recommendation. You can take it or leave it. Pay off as much debt as possible, and that's going to set you up for success. Once you've paid off all your debt, the next step is to save money. You're going to start saving money. Okay, I want you to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. All right. Now, it all depends on your budget, right? If you're somebody that you get by with just $5,000 a month or $2,000 a month, then your amount is going to differ. So whatever that amount that is for you, freaking multiply it by 3 or 6, whatever's comfortable for you, and have a savings account, a high yield savings account, you know, Capital One, PNC, USAA, whatever. Have that money sitting there. And that's money that you're not going to touch unless it's a critical emergency. And what that does is it's going to give you a lot of peace of mind. Okay, buying a home is very stressful. It's a very stressful process. It ranks as one of the most stressful experiences that people have. And it's just because you're investing so much of your time and your money into it. So having that emergency fund will give you a little cushion. All right. Me, I'm a little bit bougie. I like to say a month of expenses for me is $10,000. For some people, it might be 20, 30, 50,000. Whatever that number is for you, multiply it by 3. Moving on. Now you have your emergency fund. You've paid off all your debt. Now you're ready to start saving. Now let's talk about down payment options here. All right. When you buy a home, you have to put a certain amount of money down, right? You're familiar. It's just like when you buy a car. When you finance a car, you're going to put money down and then you're going to have your monthly payment. Similar situation in a house. Now, I'm going to go from best to worst scenario. Okay, best case is 20%. You're going to save 20% down payment for the house. Now, how much is that? Well, it all depends on what kind of house you want to buy. Okay, you have to look at the median sales price in the market that you're looking for. All right, I'm not going to give you the national average because you're not buying a home in the national, the nation. You're buying a home in your local area or a specific area that you're interested in buying, whatever, Phoenix or whatever. You're buying a place somewhere that you want to buy. You're going to look up what's the median sales price, a quick Google search. Here in Las Vegas, where I'm at, the median sales price is between $480,000 to $490,000. It fluctuates every week, every month, but give or take, it's about there. So almost $500,000, almost $500,000. And 10 years ago, it was a lot lower than that. So that's just to give you an idea, right? 10 years ago, where was I before I got rudely interrupted? Okay, so where was I? Down payment options. All right, I'm going to start from best to worst, okay? Starting off, your number one option is a 20% down payment. All right, guys, so future me here, and what I want to do is I want to show you an example of this, and then I want to walk you through the math and what that looks like. So, like I said, you're going to take a look at what's your median sales price. So in this example, I'm just going to use Las Vegas because that's where I'm based. And like I said, The median sales price here is roughly between 480 to 490,000. So let's put that in here, 490,000. And if we go with a 10%, if we go with a 20% down payment, then that means you're gonna need to save $98,000. Okay, for the down payment. And closing costs are typically between 1 to 2% or a little bit more of the purchase price of the home. This is an additional amount you're gonna need to bring to the closing table, which means that you're gonna have to bring in total $105,350. Again, this is an estimate, and what this does is it gives you a little idea. So hopefully this puts everything into perspective, and feel free to play with this and check these numbers out. See what, comment below, what does 20%, what does 10%, what does it look like in your market? I'm curious to see. I know, it's a lot of money. It's going to take a long time. But here's the reason why I still think it's the best choice for you to make. Number one, the amount of discipline that you need to save 20% down payment, it's a very high level of discipline. And what I will say is that being a homeowner and having a mortgage over your head, having that discipline helps. And it gets you in the habit of saving money. It gets you in the habit of living on less than you make, which is a very key and important aspect to financial success and financial freedom. You can't get very far if you're spending all your money. So saving 20% is going to force you to really hunker down, to really live on a low-key lifestyle, and to just build. You're building. This is the time that you're building power. All right, so anyway, 20%. Why is it the best? Number one, you don't have to pay any mortgage PMI. That's private mortgage insurance, which basically what that means is PMI is something you pay your mortgage company, your lender, every month on top of your mortgage payment. It can run anywhere from $100 to $200. It just depends. And if you think about it, that is $100 or $200 that you're not having in your pocket every month on top of your mortgage. And that amount is going to be there for the life. It's going to be there until you reach that 20% threshold. So I'll cover that a little bit later. Another reason why I recommend 20% is because statistically speaking, houses that start off with a 20% equity, they have a much lower rate of foreclosure than all the other houses. So what that means is you're already starting off your home ownership on the right foot. It means that you are very likely to succeed and either make it all the way and pay off your entire house, or if you sell your house, you're going to make money on it, and the bank is going to get they're going to recoup the money they put in the loan. And so you're really setting yourself up for success. Next best is 10%. 10% is another good option as well. If it would take just too long to save 20% and you feel 10% is more attainable in your market, 10% is another recommended option. It is you're also starting off with a great amount of equity, and you'll still have to pay PMI though. Okay, next is 5%. 5% is historically it's like your first time homeowner down payment option, and you're starting off with very little equity, and it means that you're going to be paying PMI from the beginning up until you cross that 20% equity threshold, which could take years. And then lastly, you have your 3.5% down payment, which is an option for FHA. And also, if you're a VA, if you have a VA loan, you can put 0% money down. Now, I'm a veteran myself, and I know a lot of people say, hey, get your VA home loan, no money down. And quite frankly, I've never been a fan of those no money down programs, no money down loans, because I believe you got to have some skin in the game. You got to have some skin in the game, because that's what's going to motivate you to keep your shit together, to keep your house together, to take care of things. And, you know, and it's also going to protect you, you know, in case something goes sideways. If you have no money in the house, and the house, if you're upside down on your loan, you know, it's not not the best situation to be in. And I wouldn't want you to have to short sale as either. So yeah, that's it. What else can I say about down payments? Yes, a very important thing as well is your down payment is gonna strongly affect how much you pay every month. So in general, the higher your down payment, the less you're gonna be paying per month. So if your down payment is up here, your mortgage monthly payment is gonna be down here. And as you pay less of your down payment, your monthly payment is going to go up. So either way, you're going to be paying. You might as well pay it up front and set yourself up for success. That's just my take. You can do whatever you want. It's your money. So future me here again. I wanted to go ahead and run you through what these look like. Numbers. I'm here to show you numbers. Okay, so here again, taking our previous example of $490,000 for the home price, if we go with a 20% down payment at a 6.75 interest rate, which is pretty typical right now, this is what your monthly payment is going to look like. Okay, $3,041, and this is how much you're going to bring to closing, give or take. All right, now if you go with a 10%, let's see what that looks like. All right, so you see your monthly payment now has gone up to $3,500. So that's $500 more a month that you're gonna be paying. As you can see, you'll have to bring less to closing. Okay, and if we go down to 5%, then your monthly payment goes up by about $250 to $3,700. If we go to 3.5, we'll switch to FHA. Well, actually, this is interesting. Mortgage insurance protection. All right, looks like the same, not too different from 5%. And then if you go with no money down, if you're going VA, then your monthly payment is about the same. Okay, but the interest rate here changed. That's what happened. No, we don't want that. Okay, there you go. That's what happened earlier. So $3,700 if you go with the VA home loan. So again, compared to 20%, that's an extra $700 a month. It's going to be up to you to decide what you're comfortable with. How do you want the numbers to play out? Me personally, I like to just put the money up front and have a lower monthly payment, which gives some more cushion and breathing room. Okay, hope that clears things up. Now let's jump right back to the video. So how in the hell are you supposed to save 20%? You know, I'm not going to be honest with you. It's not going to be easy. I worked 2 full-time jobs to save my 20%. It wasn't easy. What kept me going through it was I had a vision. I've been living in apartments for 30 years, paying rent. I was sick of it. At one point in my life, I was paying over $4,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica. It was great, don't get me wrong, but $4,000 a month, jeez, for an apartment. So I said to myself, no more. So what I did was I rented a studio. I lived in a studio. I was paying $1,300 a month. It was a pretty old place, but it did the job. And it allowed me to save a great amount of money, okay? And sometimes you gotta cut back on things. Be a little uncomfortable for a period of time, okay? And then you can get yourself a nice, wonderful house. That's really a key thing, is if you're willing to be uncomfortable for a short period of time relative to your life, right? You're gonna live to be 80, 90 years old, hopefully. What is 1 or 2 of those years if that's what it takes for you to spend the next 60 years of your life or 50 years of your life in a much better situation, in a much better place. And it's not like you have to absolutely suffer for those 1 or 2 years. It just means that, you know, for that time period, you're focused, you're highly focused, and this is the objective you have, and you're just going for it. So props to you. Props to you. I keep saying it. Buying a house, it's not easy, okay? Today more than ever, one of the best tools you can have in your pocket is budgeting. Budgeting. What is budgeting? Budgeting is, like Dave Ramsey likes to say, you give every dollar a job. It means that you're assigning every dollar that you make, you're giving it a purpose. And you're thinking ahead about what you're going to do with the money that you're going to get. That's, in a nutshell, that's what budgeting is. There's a lot of different apps. There's a lot of different things you can use. Personally, I just use Google Sheets. I do all my budgets there every month. And once you get into the habit of budgeting, it's just another skill that's going to make your home buying process so much better, because you're going to be in control of your finances and in control of your wealth. You're not going to build wealth by accident. Most people aren't going to build wealth by accident. It's going to take consistent discipline. It's going to take, it's going to take teamwork in some cases, in a lot of cases. Budget your money. That's it. That's it. Last thing when it comes to the numbers is your monthly payment. You got to ask yourself, how much are you comfortable spending on your housing, on your mortgage every month? Generally, there's a rule. Your mortgage payment total should not be more than a certain percentage of your income. Let's say 25 to 30% of your gross monthly income. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you make $10,000, okay? Then your mortgage should be no more than $25,000 to $3,000 a month. That's following that formula. And that formula, the reason why it's a good rule of thumb is because it allows you to have money for other things besides your house. Things like investing, or things like, paying your other utilities, for saving, for fun, for food, for other things that you're going to require in life. I mean, think about it. If half of your money, or more than half, is going towards your mortgage, you're going to be living very tightly, and you're going to be miserable. Your family's going to be miserable, and you're going to feel like you regret buying the house because you're just paying so much for a mortgage. You guys know the drill. We're here back again with some numbers. So going with the example that we just discussed, let's say your monthly take-home pay gross is $10,000. All right. And like I mentioned, there's a percentage that you want to be going towards the mortgage. It can be between 20 to 35%. You can push it to maybe 38. Just don't go, for heaven's sake, don't go over like 50%, or even 40 is a little tight. Okay, so let's set the minimum to 20 and the maximum to 35. That means that your monthly mortgage payment, the maximum that you should try to do, is $3,500 with your $10,000 monthly gross take-home pay. What happens if you go crazy and let's say you do 50%? All right, that means that your monthly mortgage payment is $5,000. You're spending half your gross on freaking mortgage. Now let's take a look at that. Okay, if your take-home pay, your gross take-home pay is $10,000, so I should really rename this to gross pay, and your mortgage is $5,000. All right, so first of all, if your gross pay is $10,000, you're probably bringing home about $8,000. And if $5,000 is going towards the mortgage, that means you have $3,000 left for everything else in life. Food, clothing, transportation, any debt if you have any, which you shouldn't. Hopefully the numbers clears things up and puts everything into perspective. Back to the video. Okay, a house is wonderful. It should be a blessing for you. You You should feel joy when you wake up. It should be your space. You shouldn't be like, ah, fuck, here comes the mortgage payment. There goes my entire check. There goes freaking a check and a half. Like, no, it shouldn't be that way. Even if it takes longer for you to save the money to bring your monthly payment down, or even if maybe you have to give up a little something of the home that you're looking for, to get it just tight, but you're comfortable, you can breathe. Okay, you want to be able to breathe with your monthly payment. All right, that's it for the numbers. I'm done beating that. I know, so many numbers, so much math, I know. But hey, it's important. As they say, the devil is in the details, and I'm giving you guys all the details. We're having this conversation now because it's a lot better to have it now than when you're in the middle of the home buying process and you're just pulling your hair out because you want to, make an offer, your offer got accepted, and then you're looking at your mortgage payment like, ooh. Yeah, exactly. All right, what else? The last thing I want to address. Can you time the market? What is timing the market? Timing the market is if you can buy when it's low and sell when it's high. That's the idea. The reality is no one can predict where the market's going to go. Okay? Nobody has a crystal ball. No matter how confident they sound, no matter what they tell you. I don't know if housing prices are going to go up. I don't know if they're going to go down. I have my gut. As an investor or as a first-time home buyer, it's your money to invest. You're responsible for it. So I give that disclaimer out there 100%. I can show you graphs and data that's showing that the prices of homes are going up and up and up. And we can say most likely it's going to keep going up. But you never know. There's always that chance. But here's the thing. It really doesn't matter. Wouldn't it be better to live in a place that you love, paying a mortgage that you can afford, enjoying your home, than sitting on the sidelines, waiting to time the market while everybody else is buying? My point is this. If you're ready, then it's a great time to buy. If you're not ready, don't buy. Get yourself ready, get your money ready, get your mind ready, get your heart ready, and then go make it happen. And if you're in Las Vegas, give me a call, shoot me an email. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.